Welcome to Spoiler Kings. My name is St. Kramer. I am with Brian and Brandon Brandman. How you guys doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Feeling
All right.
inspired, guys. I'm feeling inspired.
Yeah. After watching this movie, that is definitely a good feeling. So we are gonna review Devotion. It came out a few weeks ago, so we finally got around to checking it out. But it is 100% worth a review and worth us talking about. So we're gonna talk about some good stuff. We're gonna talk about some bad stuff, and we're gonna get to our official ratings of the movie. But first, Brian's got a quick rundown of what the movie's about.
All right. The inspired true story of Jesse Brown, the first black aviator in the U.S. Navy history, and his enduring friendship with a fellow fighter pilot, Tom Hudner, helping to turn the tide in the most brutal battle in the Korean War. Their heroic sacrifices ultimately make them the Navy's most celebrated wingmen. That's basically it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The story behind it is amazing too. So.
Yeah, it's real life events. I know you said you looked up, the actual history about it, which is cool. So it was from what the little bit of research you did it kind of sound about the movie, right?
Yeah, they did okay. His story, Jesse Brown's story is a big long story that they didn't really dove into in the movie, but it's a big thing. He went through a lot of stuff, and the reason he was able to get to where he was because he didn't fight a lot of the stuff. He had a lot of fight in him, and that's in itself was an unbelievable story. But of course, anyone that is like the first to do anything, especially in times of Jim Crow South, and he's from Alabama, that's that type of racism is a great story. But we didn't really get a lot of information about that in the movie. But you kind of hint at it, and when you read about the background, you see a lot of stuff that he dealt with.
Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of hints at that, which is good because it's like, all right, cool, this part, but go and look into this, historical figure and find out about yourself, which is cool. I like when they kind of do stuff like that, like
it felt like they didn't want to bog the movie down with. We already know how racist the South was. We already know how much you had to endure, but we want to tell you about this story. So we didn't wanted to take away from this story by telling you how bad he already had it. Even though it's a story in itself, and you don't want to not say that's important because it is very important, but you want to make sure you get this story out.
Yeah. So we'll start off with some good stuff. Let Brandon, if you want to go with a few good things that you liked about this movie.
I'd say easily is the performance of Jonathan Majors. Furthermore, the way that the chemistry between him and Glen Powell. I think the movie was very, very much, obviously it's a character-driven story. It's really anchored by the performances. I think that was the best thing about it. I think that was really where the movie shined. The piloting, the aerial scenes were great too. Very, they weren't quite like Top Gun level, but at the same time, I put this like just a step below it. They came pretty close. And I really liked the costuming. It really gave you that kind of retro vibe. It felt very authentic in that case. But easily my favorite thing about this movie was the performance of Jonathan Majors. This was basically his show to run, and he was absolutely brilliant. It really made me excited for we're going to see a lot of him in over the next year. So it's really only the beginning in that regard, and I'm all for it. And it was nice to kind of see Glen Powell kind of flex his acting chops because he played such a good dick douchebag in Top Gun, and here he is playing another aviator, complete 180 from that character. So that's those were probably my favorite things about it. The acting all around the table was great.
Yeah. What about you, Brian?
I'm married and I have a daughter, right? I have two daughters. So, of course, the thing, when you think devotion, you think about him being devoted to the Navy. And really, when I watched the movie, I more realized he's really devoted more to his wife than anything. And that connection always hits me, right in the heart. Their love for each other, the fact that he would take his plane and go by his house every single time, no matter what. Hey, we're going on a detour. He's going to make sure he sees his wife and his daughter every single time he could. That hits me really. Like that. I understood that. And I understood that him keeping his private life private, because especially because of the stuff that he was dealing with and the area that he was dealing with it in, and him loving his wife that much. And that was just huge to me. And watching it and seeing, it was so against all the black tropes that I see in a lot of movies. That made it even more special that they showed this black love, this black family staying together, loving each other, being devoted to each other, and then seeing him being his own man, still having his own thing that he was with, and all the things he fought. That was great for me, especially because who I am and what I deal with. That's, of course, is the first thing that I'm gonna connect with.
Yeah. Yeah, so that one, well, both of you guys, with acting and the family dynamic with it, but also like his connection with the rest of the crew. You know what I mean? Like he was very detached, and so I'm thinking, oh, these guys are not gonna like him. They're not gonna accept him. For the most part, I think somebody said something stupid one time, and then somebody else. But I like that somebody else corrected him. He said something stupid, and they're like, don't say this stuff, don't be ignorant. And I was like, okay. And then to his I don't know, ranks, to his commander,
lieutenant or whatever,
lieutenant, and then all the other pilots, like they all like saw him like, yeah, he's good. No one was cheering for him to fail. You know what I mean? Like that's what was like, I appreciate it. It was like, no, like he's here and he's good. He's one of us, and they accepted it. And I like that, because like, like being part of the family, but he just kept like his distance for obvious reasons. I don't want to spoil that part of the reason
he's been through.
He tells you, he literally tells you why he does a lot of the things he does, but his connection with Tom, Glen Powell, them two together were great, and I would love to see them in more things together, because I don't know what it was. Glen, like you said, like Brandon said, Glen Powell really his acting chops, like when he was talking to the wife, and that little thing, and oh man, that was so good,
Even at the end of the movie when he was talking to her, what's her name, Daisy. He's talking to Daisy. Oh my gosh, I'm a crier. So when he said that he was talking to her, and she was like, "Oh, you did your job. You did what I asked you to do."
Yes,
I was like,
that really got me.
Yeah. And that's one thing too. Like my last good thing, and then we'll move on to the next thing, which I think all you guys is it hit the emotions at the right times with the right emotions and enough of it. And I just felt like you knew when to be like nervous and scared, and when to be angry, and when to be sad, and it really puts you in that mood, when to be happy with his family and stuff like that, and it was the emotions were great. And that was definitely the actors, Jonathan Majors, the I don't know who played Daisy. I don't know her
Christina
name.
Jackson.
She was,
was amazing.
She was great.
She was really, really good.
But the little bit she was in it knocked it out of the park, and then Glen Powell as well. But the emotions definitely were really, really good. Like you connected with these characters very quick, and you rooted for each one of them. So so I like that. But that being said, what about some bad stuff? Some stuff that you might not like, Brandon? What you got?
It did kind of fall into, and you expect this kind of given the setting, but the stock racist characters, the other pilots, they seemed kind of there just for, they were very paper thin, like, just kind of spouting some racist remarks and then being sent on their way. Like if they were cut from the movie completely, I probably wouldn't have even noticed.
But wouldn't have gave you a different feel, because the movie once
I was
again, the movie didn't give us a lot of the racist stuff that he had to deal with.
Mhm.
Putting them in there was almost try to give you understand when he had to deal with it on a daily basis and how he didn't fight it and understand how he is different than what someone else would do. He is very more, I'm going to turn the cheek, I'm going to write everything down in my book. I'm going to hear it and I'm going to prove you wrong
Mhm.
in every aspect of my life but without them there, you wouldn't have gotten that. And I thought that was very powerful that he wrote all those things down that everyone said to you.
On one hand, I do get that. I think we had kind of gotten, like I said, I'm kind of walking that line. I do see why they were there, but at the same time, we had already gotten enough of that with him talking to himself in the mirror and reciting what he was always hearing. We got enough of that with the neighbor who called the cops on them. They didn't drag the movie down per se, but at the same time, if they weren't there at all, or even if their screen time was kind of cut down on, it wouldn't have necessarily helped nor hurt the movie.
Okay.
Mhm.
What are you, Brian? Some things you didn't like.
I'm probably the exact opposite of what he's saying. I would have wanted that flashback scene. I wanted a flashback scene of him being in the water and seeing what he went through. Understanding that really gets you to understand this character and why he is who he is, why he does the thing the way he does, and how much he cares about himself getting through this, and how much he loved to fly, and what he wanted to do, and how much he worked to do it, no matter what the obstacle was. Sometimes seeing the obstacle really makes you understand how important this journey was and how important it was to get to this point. And I wouldn't minded 10 minutes, even if you got rid of those guys and we saw the 10 minutes of him dealing with it and them putting ice in it, everyone fighting against him until you start to see people turn and start to say, this guy wants it. They start rooting for him and seeing that, but seeing what he dealt with. I would love to have seen that. I feel like it was almost missing a little bit in the story because it seemed incomplete. I understand what they're focusing on, but the story for me felt incomplete because you didn't understand how he got to where he was.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of like an issue I had too. Was like I wanted some maybe flashbacks, because like you had it like him saying the stuff to the mirror where you're repeating it, like even doing a quiz flashback of a person actually saying that to like a younger version of him or something like that, and the was it the diving scene? I think it was. As soon as he said that, I thought of what is it?
Men of Honor.
Men of Honor with Cuba Gooding Jr. First thing I thought about. So I don't know if that would have been good because maybe that would have been a little too similar. But I don't know. I mean, maybe Men of Honor took that from the actual real life, person. I don't know now. Because now we know this was based on real life and this and that. But I did want some more flashbacks.
We didn't have to see all of it, but 90 seconds of while he's telling the story, you're seeing the hate that he had to deal with to get to this point. Because a lot of times in the movie, I kept on going back to seeing him just being standoffish, and you're like, that's just his personality. That is not just his personality; it's what he had to deal with to get to that point. No one wanted him to be aviator. No one. Why did he kept on, disobeying orders? It's because everyone tried to stop him from getting to where he got. And the only way he got there was by trusting in himself and fighting for what he wanted.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would have given me a little bit more.
Yeah. Because it went from like you said, like being like, oh, this is who he is, to like, oh, this is a learned trait. This is something he had to learn to deal with all the stuff so he can get to where he needed to get. But I definitely want to see that. The end, I thought was a little abrupt. It was a high note. Man, you're on the edge of your seat, and then the movie just ends.
For sure.
I don't know if it's a better, but
why is he there and he didn't get a Purple Heart or anything? But then I guess that kind of tells you he was a forgotten hero in the most brutal battle in the Korean War.
Yeah,
and then not having those guys.
Also,
who are also, you know, teasing them and saying all those bad things about him, and having them be the Marines that he saved.
Yeah.
Kind of brings it full circle a little bit.
Yeah. You know, so yeah, that's why like that ending, the way the movie, like all that stuff, that climax. And then there was no like cool down. It was just like it ended on the high note right there. And man, which could be
like you ran out of money. It was like ran out of money. All right, gotta go.
Yeah, you know, but I get what they're getting. You know, they want to leave you with that emotion, which I get. It's fine, but I mean, it's a little bit more at the end, but overall, it wasn't the worst thing. But that was one thing. I'm like, that was it. I'm like, I want more. You know.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah. But that being said, let's move on to our official ratings of this one. Bring this up. So, as you guys know, if you've been watching, we rate things a little bit differently here. We do a now, later, or never. Now means you have to stop what you're doing, go check it out right now. Later means you can wait till it's on streaming. You can wait till you're doing the dishes, put it on in the background. And then never means skip it. It's not worth it. Brandon, what are you giving this one? What are you giving Devotion?
I could give this one a now. I think this was very much under my radar, no pun intended, until maybe about a month and a half ago when I first really started seeing it advertised. But this is a very well acted movie. I think there's a lot of aspects of it that are very well executed. I was definitely, it kept me invested. I really liked seeing Jonathan Majors just perform, especially like the scenes when he's in front of the mirror and, you know, reciting these things. You know, he absolutely brought it, as did Glen Powell. It's so easy, you know, he played such a jerk of a character so well in Top Gun that you kind of instantly think, you know, this is going to be his thing. He's going to play the douchey jerk. But he showed another side of himself, and that was really great to watch. By the way, Kevin Feige, in the slim chance that you are watching our video, if you don't cast him as Scott Summers, yes. I just want to talk. Christina Jackson, absolutely great. You know, from a technical standpoint, there was a lot to be enjoyed too. The aviation scenes, the costuming. So there was a lot that I enjoyed. I could give this a now. It was a very important movie.
Yeah, good point. Brian,
I'm gonna give it a now. And there's other things that, you know, really got to me. So like when you are fighting to be the first or something, it's hard to be accepted in either world, you know. So he is fighting to not be seen as just a black sailor who usually gets left in the kitchen to cook food. He's seen as something more, and you see that he doesn't have that connection with another black character until he's given that Rolex from the other ones, and they all pitched in to give him that Rolex, and that connection was huge to me. And I read back on the story, I saw that, and I was like, dude, that's what you want. You don't want to see people like crabs in a barrel trying to pull you down, but actually lifting you up and honoring you for what you've done. And you not even realize, because you're just fighting for what you want. But seeing that was just awesome. I think that's what you really, really gotta enjoy. This is a now movie. This is a movie that's anti a lot of stuff that we got now. So I can't wait.
Good point. Yeah, I'm giving this a now for sure. It's gonna make you cry, you know, at least get watery, you know, a little water-eyed at the end. But yeah, just seeing somebody like so standoffish for good reason, and then somebody like and then the opposite person, they're like, let me in, I want to be part of your world, you know. And you know, and then, you know, it's just like a great friendship, you know. It's like, I get like why you're like that. Let me help you so we could be a team, and you don't have to carry this on your shoulder.
Well,
there was that part of it.
The learning,
yeah.
You know, Tom had to learn that, you know, you can't just do the little things for me, because you saying that I didn't listen to you means I'll never become anything more than an ensign.
Yeah.
You
know, well, that also was like somebody who tried hard and earned it, and somebody who also earned it, but went to school and had an easier road to get to where and then them understanding each other and stuff like that. It was great. Even the little things. Him. Little French scene, in there, just through there. It was like, okay, this guy's a badass, and it's not because he fights pilots, it's because he doesn't take crap, from anybody, no matter what language. So super cool movie. I really, really loved it. I knew I was gonna like it from the first trailer. I wish they promoted it more for sure.
Definitely.
But like Brandon said, it's a very important movie. I think, something that's true, like it's real life, and if anything, it helps you go find other similar stories, and stuff like that. So definitely giving it a now, very, very well done. Very well done. So with that being said, anything else, guys, before we close it up?
I'm just so glad that we're able to do this, guys. If you are watching this, let us know what you think, but please go out and support the movie. Go find the movie, watch it, enjoy it, be moved, because it will bring you it will move you. I'm not going to bring you to tears, but it will move you, and something that you should see, especially because it's so anti today.
Yep.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, definitely go check it out in theaters. IMAX, big screen. It's going to look good. You're going to feel good. But cool. That is it from us today from the Spoiler Kings. Hope you enjoyed our review of Devotion. We didn't really get into too many spoilers, so if you can go watch it and still enjoy the movie, I think after that. But we highly recommend it from all three of us. So let us know in the comments if you went to go check it out, and if you did, let us know what you thought about it. Do you agree with us? Do you not agree with us? We love to chit chat with all you guys, and every opinion is welcome here. So we'll talk it out. But also make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're on our way to 1,000. We're trying to hit that 1,000 subscribers, and make sure you hit that like, so we know that you like our content and want more of our reviews. But that is it from us, from Brandon, Brian, myself, Tank Kramer. Thank you. Appreciate all you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Thanks, guys.